Oh, here we go with things with Florida football and where we stand. Because before the season began, the hot seat was already on for head coach Billy Napier. Now we're sitting at 1-2 on the season, coming off losing 33-20 to Texas A&M in the Swamp. That just heated up things even more. It's been so bad that speculation has been rampant that the end of Napier's run in Gainesville might be much sooner than later. Our Brandon Marcello and Richard Johnson teamed up for a report detailing where things stand with Napier right now and how the Gators got here, and most importantly, what is next. That 1-2 record will be on display this Saturday at Mississippi State, with Napier sitting at just 12-16 in his 2+ years as the head coach of my alma mater. We now bring in Brandon Marcello to further this conversation. And Brandon, I was heavy on X this weekend, and from all the talk of Gator Twitter, we thought for sure that Napier was going to be fired on Monday. But here we stand on Friday. He's still the head coach. Many are wondering, I'm wondering, why has he not lost his job yet?
Yeah, it seems pretty imminent at this point, just a matter of when, not if. A big game, obviously, at Mississippi State, and if he were to lose that game, I think that would force the issue quicker. Also, it's just a lot about timing, right? So after their game at Mississippi State this weekend, they have a bye week before they play in-state foe UCF in the Swamp, which could set up to be another potential game that could be embarrassing at home. So there's a lot of stuff here at play as far as the timing of everything, but it would take a almost near miracle for Billy Napier at this point to save his job. The thinking going into this year all along was he had this toughest 5-game stretch at the end of the season in all of college football history, and to start this season at 1-2 with 2 blowout losses at home, just not beneficial for his case. He's the first coach since the 1940s at Florida to have a losing record after 2+ seasons. He's a dead man walking at this point.
Yeah, I was in the stands for that Miami game and witnessed up close and personal how bad that was. Watching the Texas A&M with a team that had a backup QB, a first-year head coach, and still getting that loss made it very tough to swallow. And I think the interesting situation with all this right now is you look at the University of Florida as a whole, we currently have an interim president. So it's kind of like, who is making the decisions to change things up? Because Athletic Director Scott Strickland, if they do fire Napier, he will then be hiring his 3rd head coach for football. So it seems that maybe he might be in some heat of his own. Who's making the decisions here and there for the Gators on what to do with Napier, and then maybe Strickland too?
Yeah, great question. We've been looking into this for the past week about the power structure there at the University of Florida. And what makes it so interesting is because the interim president there, listen, from what our reporting right now is that Athletics Director Scott Strickland is expected to keep his job throughout all of this. He's the one who will make the decision whether to fire Billy Napier, and it has been communicated to him, according to our sourcing at CBS Sports, that he will lead the next coaching search at the University of Florida. How this all pans out, we shall see. Of course, there's always outside forces, big-time boosters that might have some say in this, that try to steer the course a different way. But as of right now, it has been communicated from the president's office to the athletics department that Scott Strickland is in charge, and he will lead this next coaching search. What makes it such an interesting prospect of what's going to happen here when we talk about candidates, obviously, but also remember the last time Scott Strickland hired a coach, that being Billy Napier, of course, he kind of went out on his own. It was only him and 2 other people really that were in the know, and he just went out and got Billy Napier. Didn't hire a search firm or anything like that. Our sources tell us that that process will look much different. It'll be much more collaborative, and there'll be more people involved. But as of right now, the expectation is that Athletics Director Scott Strickland will survive. He will keep his job, and he will be in charge of the next coaching search.
Hearing you say that is just mind-boggling to me, and I know that those who are kind of, entrenched with the Gators certainly don't like hearing that about Strickland, just because of the way the athletic program has looked from some of the other sports, not just including football. With the way things are looking right now, and let's assume that Strickland does get to make the hire and they hire a new head coach, what are the names you think that we might see floated out there? I know I have one in mind that I certainly want, but what are you hearing?
Yeah, we've spoken to several agents in the industry, and we had one prominent agent tell us that there was even some people that say they were connected to Florida that they know that have already reached out to them to kind of bandy about some candidates and get some feedback right now. The names mentioned in that conversation, according to our source there, were Lane Kiffin, of course, at Ole Miss, Eli Drinkowitz at Mizzou, Washington Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury also mentioned in there. Some names to watch here very early, but complicating matters, of course, is the introduction of the 12-team playoff. And with that comes an earlier calendar for bowl games. And as a result, there's a potential here where several of those candidates could be preparing for the college football playoff. And as a result, will probably shrink the pool for Florida when they go out to look for a coach, because it's very difficult for a Lane Kiffin or even an Eli Drinkowitz, if they desire the Florida job and want to take it, to leave before they play a playoff game and potentially contend for a national championship. This is a much different day and age in college football, and not just at Florida, but I think elsewhere. When the job markets come open here, it's going to look a lot different than it has in past years, just because some of the best candidates out there are going to be in the playoff, and not just head coaches, coordinators as well.
I am all aboard the Lane train. I want to state that out here clear for everyone to see, and we just want our Gators to be good again because it has been such a long time. Brandon, Marcello, we will continue our just tough times, and we'll get through this hopefully on the other side. We appreciate you for your time. Coming up on CBS this Saturday, no SEC, but it's something even better. USC at Michigan, the Big House hosting a big one. 3:30 Eastern on CBS, also streaming on Paramount Plus. A ranked-on-ranked showdown will be a great one tomorrow.